I'm getting ready to send out 180 letters before my court date because if I get locked up in a mental hospital, which I couldn't get locked up in jail, I don't think, unless they're saying I'm indirectly in contempt of court for petitioning the government, which apparently the Constitution does not matter anymore. The Constitution's not the law. What matters is state law over the Constitution, because it'll take you years to fight state law, and you have to have millions and millions of dollars to go to the Supreme Court because you have to have a fancy lawyer that will fill out a million pieces of paperwork to talk to the Supreme Court. But so I'm trying to send out 180 letters before court because I'm afraid they're going to say that I'm incompetent. I'm not competent to understand my charges, but I'm competent enough to understand the Constitution and how the legal system works that well. So I need to make sure these letters are sent out. But before that, I thought I'd tell you guys about how I found out about the drugs. I wrote a book about it. It's called Cat Orgies, Terrorists, and Monks in the Middle East. You're probably not going to find the book because both Google and Bing are censoring any information about me as far as I know. Someone tried to look me up on YouTube, and when I gave them my glassrosemusic.com URL, it said my page was blocked. And my page goes straight to YouTube. When they looked up John Alexander, it went to someone else's page. So clearly YouTube is trying to make sure people don't know about me. I don't know why. But so when I found out about the drugs, I was at this festival called the Rainbow Gathering, which is kind of like Burning Man, but it's free and it's more dangerous. And I carried a big ass knife on my hip, like a big Bowie knife. And people kept asking me, why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here? And I was like, I don't know why I'm here. I'm here because it's free and I wanted to go to a festival, and my friends were going to the Rainbow Gathering. I mean, a lot of my friends are Rainbow family. And so eventually random people were walking up to me and saying stuff to me, and someone walked up to me and said that it costs a penny to manufacture a hit of LSD, and people walked up to me and said all kinds of things. And at one point someone walks up to me and gives me a shirt that has a map of the gathering, of the Rainbow Gathering that I was at, which was in Washington State, and it had 100 signatures on it. It was hand drawn. It was a custom shirt, and then everyone was acting like I was special, and I had no idea why. And then this girl, after I had been looking for acid for days, and then someone finally gave me acid, and then this girl, I met her at the water thing, where the secret of the Rainbow Gathering is figure out where the clean water is, because you got to find out where the sober people are that are purifying water, or else you're going to get sick. And so I ran into her, and she kind of took me around with her little niece, and it was like they introduced me into the Rainbow family. She had me stand barefoot in the snow and carve a staff and make a staff for me. And we did all kinds of weird stuff. And afterwards, I was told, you're going to stay for cleanup. You're going to help everyone clean up. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it because. Like someone told me these people are so freaking rich, or the lab is that rich. I don't think it was the Rainbow family that was actually that rich, but certain people that were attending the Rainbow Gathering at that time were so freaking rich. And I was like, well, I kind of want to be part of this because I want to find acid. I love acid. And then I was told to go to this little town in Northern California, and I hitchhike. And I end up there, and there I meet this guy named Troy, and Troy tells me that he knows people that can make DMT, it knows a ton of people that make tons of DMT. And I was like, all right, well, I don't do DMT, but sure. And he had acid, and his acid was so freaking strong that, like, the first time I took it for probably a good 12 hours, a normal trip, but I tripped hard. And then the second time he gave me acid, I had already moved from his house, because I lived at this guy's house, and then I moved to another person's house, which was this woman that had 2 kids. And it was like everyone was like taking me in, like, even though I was a homeless guy. And her and I went on a trip to Tahoe, and I mentioned it before. She started dropping off packages everywhere, like, that looked like drugs, but I couldn't see if they were drugs because they weren't opaque. You couldn't see what was inside. They were like tampon packages, and she was leaving them everywhere. She left a package inside of a poop bag. Like, she pooped in the forest, and then she picked up the poop, because we were in the forest, and then she put drugs underneath the poop, so that, I don't know, so she was leaving it for someone. It was a weird experience, and I was like, okay, I now see what I'm supposed to do. They want me to go sell drugs with this person, and I don't like the way they're selling drugs. This is freaking me out. I took off. And so I hitchhiked out of there, and at this point I had just taken like 3.5 hits of acid that turned out to be like, whoa, like plants were growing all around me, and I was like, and I was like, this is crazy. So I hitchhike out of there. I go to Folsom. You know, I was right across from the Folsom prison, you know, where Johnny Cash was. I was sleeping at the lake that night, and then I go to town and I call the girl that I met from the Rainbow Gathering. I was like, hey, I need a ride. I got to get out of here. I know you live over here. She came and picked me up, and she was saying all kinds of weird stuff. And I got freaked out at some point because I was on so many drugs still. I was hallucinating for days, and I didn't know I was still hallucinating because I was having auditory hallucinations. And like it was like but it wasn't. I mean, it was like the radio was really tripping me out. The radio was weird, and I thought I had to take her car to Vegas, or else the Rainbow family was going to kill me. And so this woman that I had met in Northern California that I left in Tahoe, she kept talking about Beverly Hills, and she was also talking about Robin Williams all the time. Robin Williams this, I know Robin Williams, and she was talking about other like musicians she knew that were like famous musicians, and I'm not going to talk about who, but so I took this car to Las Vegas, and on the way to Las Vegas, I pull into this gas station, and then this guy who's dressed up kind of like a hippie walks up to me and says, hey, this is your favorite drink, right? And he hands me a mango Arnold Palmer type drink. It's an Arizona iced tea, but it's like a mango version. And he says, this is your favorite drink. And I was like, how do you know that? He was like, yeah, I'm going to drive with you. And he went and got me gas. Like he was like, he walked up to some guy and asked him for gas money or something. Like he like kind of took care of me on the trip. I get to Las Vegas, and then I go and play guitar on the street because this guy had freaked me out because he was like acting weird. Which he was probably a cop that met me on the road because they knew I had taken his car. That's why he walked up to me and told me this is your favorite drink. Because it used to be my favorite drink when I was living in Colorado. I'm like, how do these people have been spying on me since Colorado? I didn't even think about the fact that this guy could be a cop, especially because I had a stolen freaking car. And at that point, I was like, that was when I heard the fighter. This one's a fighter, and that was the first time like I kind of I heard Adele's music for the first time too, and. So I get to Vegas, I'm playing guitar on the street, I was busking, and I ended up with like $6 and probably like 27 cents. And this guy, I walk back to my car, he's sitting on my car. And this is like right next to the Las Vegas Strip. And this is by the Bellagio, now that I think about it. It was behind the Bellagio. And this guy walks up to me and says, how much money did you make? And I was like a few dollars, not very much. He goes, I thought you made $6.27 or something like that. And I was like, dude, you're freaking me out here. I'm done with this. I'm out of here. Cause like, it was weird. Like, I mean, they were freaking me out. And I mean, maybe he was one of us, maybe he was a cop. I don't really know. I'm sure the cops know. And so I decide I'm leaving Las Vegas. I don't want to be there anymore. I'm gone. So I'm going to Utah where the Mormons won't kill me. I'm convinced the Mormons won't kill me. They're a bunch of religious nuts. And so I'm trying to get enough money to go. So I'm like holding a sign basically at this gas station on the way to Utah. And then this guy pulls up in a Range Rover. That's like a really fancy Range Rover. He's like fancy looking. He walks up to me and goes, if you don't go back to Vegas, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I was like, what the hell? Like, am I tripping? And at this point, like, I was barely. This was like a week and a half into my acid trip, so like, yeah, I was. This actually happened that this guy did this because the most I had like after a week and a half, like the most I had experienced the acid was I was tuning my guitar and it was like the guitar did not sound normal. It was like really freaking me out. So after this guy says, if you don't go back to Vegas, I'm gonna fucking kill you. This other guy walks up to me and goes, that guy's from Beverly Hills. And I was like, I have to go back to Vegas or else they're going to kill me. So that's when I went to a casino, and I'm sitting at the casino, and this waitress walks up to me, and she goes, you're not allowed to drink. stay here. And I was like, wow, well, thank you for telling me I'm not allowed to drink. That was weird. And so I eventually did leave Vegas, and I went to Draper, which is outside of Salt Lake City, and eventually, and I took off, and then I like left this car, and I couldn't find the freaking car, and my dad had to come to give me the car, and like my dad and I were driving the car back to this girl that I stole the car from the Rainbow Gathering. It was the same girl, and she told me that I was like Jesus or something. She was like, "You're like Jesus," and she was telling me all this weird stuff, like about me being special or something. She was like, "What did the birds mean to you?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like now I kind of think back to what she was saying, and I'm like, well, I don't know, but. Was she a cop or was she not? I thought she was like introducing me into the drug lab, but I feel like what happens is they know all about the drug lab, and that's why like a lot of the time the cops are who tell us everything about ourselves. And us, we don't talk. Like people that are smart don't say shit ever. Like the director of the CIA could show up and be like, "Okay, you work for the CIA. I want you to tell me all about this." And you know what I'd say to him? Someone else can tell you about it. Like if they want to tell you, they'll walk up to you and tell you. So. I'm driving, and then the song "Staying Alive" starts playing on the. Also, someone walked up to me and said they murdered your dog, because my dog had just died right before I left to the Rainbow Gathering. I had a German Shepherd. He was the best dog, and he died, and it was like a weird situation, like how he died. It was like, how did this dog die? And this person walks up to me while I'm sitting at this gas station and goes, "They murdered your dog." They were saying all kinds of shit like that to make me turn on these people, but I had no one to snitch on. Like, the only person I could snitch on was this woman in Northern California who was dropping off drugs, and all I said to them is, "I think she's a good person, I think she's a good person, I think she's a good person." Because this guy walks up to me in Utah, or he gives me a ride in Utah. He picks me up, he pulls out a badge for the military, and it says that he's like a chemical inspector or something like that. And I was like, well, that's not even an FBI badge. And like he puts it out like on his console. And then I was like, "I think she's a good person." And I didn't even say her name. I was like, "I think she's a good person. I think she's a good person." And then this guy like gave me like $10 so I can go get In-N-Out burger. So I'm driving with my dad back to California to give this woman her car back, and "Staying Alive" plays on the radio like 14 times in a row. And like after like 5 or 6 times, I wave my dad down. I'm like, pull over. And I go, "Can you hear this on the radio? Is "Staying Alive" playing on the radio?" And my dad goes, "Yeah." I was like, "It keeps playing. It won't stop playing." And I was like, listen to this song over and over again. And like these people have been threatening to murder me in Las Vegas. And I thought I had to sell drugs, or I was like, they were going to murder me. And I was like, I'm not going to snitch. I just don't want to have to do anything. I just want to be left alone. I thought I knew too much. I didn't know anything back then. Like back then I knew absolutely nothing. And I was like, I know too much, but I didn't know anything. It's like so hard to know anything. That's the thing about us. Like you think you know something, you have no idea what you actually know. So my dad goes to Walmart, and like after like 10 plays, I might get my dad out of the car again, and I'm like, "Is it still playing on the radio? Am I hallucinating?" He goes, "No, it's still playing on the radio over and over and over again." So that's when I went back to California, or went back to Texas. And while I was in Texas, this woman would like call me from Northern California and talk about how her friend's car, like wallet got stolen. And this person's like blackmailing him or threatening him. And I'm like, "Why are you telling me this?" And I'd like tell my parents. I'd be like, "Well, I don't know what to do." But now things have changed. Now I feel like the cops' objective is to make sure I look crazy. They're like, he's crazy. This never happened to him. It's like, sure, it never happened to me. Why? Because you guys are like vicious, like you're like super violent people. You're like super mean. And like you don't want to have to go to jail for what you've done, because the last thing cops want to do is end up on the other side of the law, because the reality is they are super criminals. So anyways, I'd been going to church, and I met this girl, and this was at Max Lucado's church in the singles group, and we hung out, and she tells me that there was this raid at a horse ranch she goes to, and the FBI had interrogated her. And she's the one that is friends with the Netanyahu family. She's friends with she told me about how Benjamin Netanyahu's wife is such a good cook and stuff like that. And so the day after I hung out with her, or after she told me about this raid where she got interrogated by the FBI over it, she didn't say the FBI. She said she got interrogated by the feds. And so the day after this raid, after she told me about that, I'm with my parents. We went to church or something. I come home from church and my door upstairs is broken. And I had a picture of it on my phone forever. I don't have that picture anymore. But if you go to my old house, you can see where it was broken, because you can still see it even though I replaced the doorknob. So I told my parents, I was like, someone just broke into our house, and they're all like, I didn't hear you. Like, everyone acts like they hadn't heard me. And then like the next day we went and bought a new door handle from the hardware store, and I replaced the door handle, and we never talked about it again after that. But I did get, like, my mom can confirm that we came home and the door was broken. But the weird part about it is, like, my parents acted like they didn't even hear me when I told them that someone had broken into the house. They didn't call the police or anything, and nothing was missing. It was pure intimidation. And at the same time, like, I was still at this church, Oak Hills Church, and this guy at the singles group was like, we're moving tons of people here to like he was talking about the NSA. We're moving tons of more people here. We're gonna have a lot of people working in San Antonio now, and like it was like intimidation. Like, we're gonna bust you. And I was like, I don't freaking know shit. Like, why are you guys talking about this? I'm so freaking confused. And then then eventually I did my hunger strike because I couldn't take it anymore. Because like it was after I had hung out with. I went to my friend's graduation where I met her grandfather. He told me that he was with his grandkids in Santa Barbara, California, and there was this, and he got busted for drugs. And he said that that he pled insanity and he got out after a few months, and like he didn't spend very much time in jail at all. And so when I did my hunger strike, I was specifically thinking about her the whole time. And because I didn't want her to have to go through what I'd been going through, which was like incredible intimidation by the cops. Because like once I kind of figured out the code, like these NSA guys at Bible study, which was at a different church at that point, they'd walk up to me and be like, "The water in Dallas is good." Oh God! I was like, "No, they know everything." But really, they're just testing you. But I was just like, thanks. That's a really weird thing to say to a person. But I mean, like after I hung out with this guy who had a Hot Wheels collection, like one of them was wearing a Hot Wheels shirt the next day, and he was like, yeah. And so they were like constantly trying to let me know, we're spying on you all the time. But it wasn't until later that I got really good at computers and good at computer security that like I really started causing problems for the government, because the government does not like defense. Like they're all about offense. And if you're a computer security person, you're a threat to the government. And so when the government's like, when Joe Biden's like, we're going to spend so much more money on cybersecurity, it's like, oh, you mean doing what you made sure that, or what the Trump administration specifically made sure that I couldn't do, which is security, because my security software will catch hacks like the SolarWinds hack. Like hack would have been caught a long time ago if they were using my software. I mean, so I don't know. So that's the story. I got to go get back to letters. Sorry that it's so long. The part of the story I forgot is that when I went to Santa Barbara to do my hunger strike, you know who gave me a ride? This was after I'd already started talking about the drugs. A guy from Lockheed Martin. And after my hunger strike, you know who I met? A guy from Raytheon. So apparently all these defense contractors were in on it. The guy from Raytheon said he went to Baylor also. And the guy from Lockheed Martin was super cool. He took me and he got me food and stuff like that. And then he dropped me off in Santa Barbara where I did my hunger strike. And then when I got to Las Vegas, that's where I met the guy from Raytheon. So yeah, the defense contractors definitely know what's going on. Apparently everyone knows what's going on except for certain people in the government. And some people really don't want me to petition the government. That's why they don't want these letters to go out. I'm contacting all the people in charge of law schools, of like the 50 top law schools, because I need a lawyer and I can't afford one. So maybe they'll be able to find a lawyer for me. But I'm also contacting senators right now.